You're not broken for feeling this tired. If conflict drains you in a way that feels disproportionate, if even the possibility of tension makes your chest tighten or your mind go blank, if you replay conversations long after they're over, wishing you'd said less or nothing at all, there's a reason for that, and it isn't weakness. Right now, you might be carrying a quiet exhaustion that doesn't come from doing too much, but from bracing too often, from staying alert, from anticipating reactions, from reading the room before you even enter it. You don't always talk about this part. You'd say you're tired, or not in the mood, or that you need space. But underneath that, there's a deeper fatigue. Because conflict doesn't just feel uncomfortable to you. It feels unsafe. Not logically, not in a dramatic way, but in your body. You might notice how fast your energy disappears when someone's tone shifts. How quickly your thoughts scatter during disagreement. How even small friction can feel like it takes hours to recover from. So you avoid it. You soften your words. You delay conversations. You choose peace over clarity, even when it costs you something. And then you wonder why you're so tired all the time. Here's what rarely gets said out loud. Your brain doesn't experience conflict as a conversation. It experiences it as a threat. Not because you're fragile, but because your nervous system learned, somewhere along the way, that tension equals danger. When voices rise, when expectations clash, when there's uncertainty about how someone will respond, your body reacts first, before logic, before language. Your heart rate shifts, your breathing changes, your muscles prepare. This isn't a character flaw, it's a survival response. Your nervous system is doing what it was designed to do, protect you. For some people, conflict registers as stimulation. For you, it registers as exposure. That difference matters. It means that what looks like overthinking is actually your brain scanning for safety. What looks like avoidance is actually self-preservation. What looks like emotional exhaustion is your system staying on high alert for too long. And here's the part that often creates the most shame. You tell yourself you should be able to handle it. That other people argue and move on. That you're too sensitive, too affected, too slow to recover. But your brain isn't comparing. It's remembering. Every past moment where conflict led to rejection, or unpredictability, or emotional fallout. Even if those moments were subtle, even if no one yelled, even if you learned early on that harmony kept you safe, your nervous system took notes. So now, when conflict appears, it doesn't ask, is this reasonable? It asks, is this safe? And if the answer is uncertain, it mobilizes. That's why you feel drained afterward. Because threat responses are expensive. They consume energy. They leave residue. And when you live in a culture that rewards assertiveness, speed, and constant engagement, there's very little space to honor that cost. So instead, you blame yourself. You call it weakness. You call it avoidance. You call it something you need to fix. But what if nothing is wrong with you? What if your system is simply tired of being pushed into situations it experiences as danger, then being told it shouldn't feel that way? There is relief in understanding this, because when you stop framing your exhaustion as a personal failure, something softens. The pressure eases, the internal criticism quiets. You're not failing at communication, you're navigating it with a nervous system that prioritizes safety. And here's something important. When pressure drops, clarity returns. When you don't force yourself to push through every difficult interaction, your mind has room to breathe again. When you allow yourself to pause instead of react, your system slowly learns that not every moment requires defense. Safety isn't built through confrontation. It's built through regulation, through moments where you realize you're allowed to take time. You're allowed to need space before responding. You're allowed to protect your energy without justifying it. That's not avoidance, that's intelligence. And motivation doesn't come from shaming yourself into being tougher. It comes from knowing you're not at war with your own reactions. You don't need to become someone who loves conflict. You don't need to force yourself into constant emotional friction. You just need to stop treating your exhaustion as evidence that you're incapable, because you're not. You're responsive. You're perceptive. You're attuned. Those traits require care, not correction. And the more you respect your nervous system instead of fighting it, the more trust you rebuild with yourself. Trust that you can choose when to engage. Trust that you can step back without disappearing. Trust that your pace is valid. Nothing needs to be resolved right now. Nothing needs to be proven. You don't have to prepare for the next conversation. You don't have to rehearse your boundaries. For this moment, it's enough to understand yourself a little better. 2. Recognize that your exhaustion makes sense, that your need for calm is reasonable, that your body isn't betraying you, it's protecting you, and you're allowed to let that be enough. Take your time. There's no urgency here.